With the trailer for the upcoming horror flick It Chapter 2 finally released, let's jump right into the trailer analysis and breakdown. Buckle up and stay frosty. The trailer kicks off with the sound of the doorbell to an apartment. Apparently somebody with the name Marsh is living here. Marsh? Like Beverly Marsh? Indeed. Once the door opens, we realize immediately that Beverly is the guest of the hour. Who is she visiting though? She's an adult now. The only family she had, well, at least the one we would be aware of, is her dad. But after the first part of the movie, it's almost certain that at this point it's very unlikely that he would still be alive. We can see what appears to be an old lady lurking out of the barely opened door. In an elderly voice she asks, "Yes, may I help you?" Beverly responds that she used to live here when she was younger. I find you can tell that she's quite surprised by the looks of her face, that somebody with her family name actually opened the door. The old lady invites her in. Apparently it's the least she can do. Let's take a quick look at the back here. Look at all the photos in the frame. One could think that it looks pretty similar to the shape of Pennywise, no? Beverly then enters the apartment, which is cluttered with old memories and things that are part of this apartment for a very long time. Notice all of the vintage photos hanging on the walls. The next scene shows us Beverly taking a look at the old lady's sewing room. Why is that, we wonder? Well, Beverly must have had a hiding place there back in the day. Something really precious to her. And yes, she finds the old postcards that Ben wrote for her when they were kids. It brings back memories. While Grandma is getting the water boiling, Beverly is taking a closer look at the postcard. The card clearly had seen better days, but a quick jump back in time solidifies how precious this memory is for Beverly. It was one of the rare moments of comfort she had when she was a child. A lovely scene for sure, but it is at this point that the camera pans back and reveals the old lady eyeballing Beverly from the kitchen. She then moves away in the grotesque and weird Pennywise fashion. Spooky. Seriously, watch that scene in the trailer again. It gives one goosebumps. After this little incident, the two ladies are sitting down to enjoy some tea. Notice the little curtain in the back. Another glimpse of the visage of Pennywise? Who knows? Beverly takes the cup of tea in the next shot, while the lady insists of putting some nice music on. You know, for old time's sake. The record player starts playing and we can listen to some old eerie music. Beverly then is aware of a strange noise coming from one of the windows, and it clearly appears that flies are starting to gather there. This is strange. Why would that be? Is something decaying maybe? And is there a reason it could be 6? Maybe a foreboding sign of something. The lady then interrupts and tells Beverly that it gets awfully hot around this time in this area. Are they in Derry? Beverly doesn't bother too much though, and only starts to feel uncomfortable once Grandma drops her next line. About that one could almost die. It is that hot in here. Beverly, looking at her cup, shows that she tries to stay strong here and won't get affected by any weird memories that might still linger in her mind. It only goes downhill from here. The next charming thing that Granny says is, "You know what they say about Derry, right? No one who dies here never really dies." Oh my god, look at her face now. Look at the blank, thrilling and unusual look she's giving Beverly. That is stuff that nightmares are made out of. Could she reference all the people that have fallen by the hand of Pennywise? The ones that float and never really can rest? Beverly realizes that something really strange is going on here now, and she stares back at the old woman with wide eyes. What makes all of that even more unsettling is that the old hag still is staring Beverly down, with a very uncomfortable grin on her face. It takes a couple of minutes before the lady finds back to her senses and asks Beverly how she enjoys her time in Derry so far. "Good and strange," Beverly replies. What better word to describe the events that have transpired so far? But maybe something else happened before that whole scene in the apartment already. We don't know that quite yet. Once the old lady opens the top of her gown, Beverly realizes that this indeed is not a normal tea party. Look at the marks. Grandma makes her way into the kitchen again, right after, to get cookies out of the oven, so she says. At this point, Beverly is struck by her instincts, and she lets the woman know that she should go right now. But no, Grandma insists of her staying. At this point, while the record player is getting stuck, Beverly talks about how beautiful Mrs. Kerr's apartment is. Ooh, so the name tag on the door belonged to someone else then. Didn't we all read Marsh? Why would a person with a really similar but still different name live in an apartment like that? Certainly very unusual, isn't it? Was the lady giving out misinformation? Beverly asks Mrs. Kirsch more about her family and finds some odd family pictures. These haircuts look a bit familiar, don't they? It all gets darker when Grandma keeps telling that story about her father, who came to Derry with $14 in his pocket and joined the circus. Oh my god, did you just say? This is when Beverly realizes that something literally terrifying is going on here. And on top of that, the old lady is peeking out from a corner in the back, as if she's eyeballing her prey. Did she get undressed too? This is the moment in which we are shown a picture of her father, who looks like good old Bill Skarsgård, or should I say Pennywise himself. Look at his daughter, which I assume is Grandma. What's wrong with her face? Oh, also, remember the carriage in the back? It's the same that Pennywise keeps in his sewers. Miss Kirsch again is making a move behind Beverly, indeed without her dress this time. Which gives you the chills. The darkness in the kitchen really has something really terrifying to it, am I right? I was always Daddy's little girl. What about you? Asks the old lady out of nowhere. Are you still Daddy's little girl? This is a reference to Beverly's father, who called her like that when he was around and she was still a teenager. Can it be that something terrible is about to happen? Beverly steps back in fear, and the next thing you know, we hear a loud trampling footstep seemingly running towards her. The next shot clarifies and shows Mrs. Kirsch, still undressed, with what appears to be really long legs, making a run for Beverly, who seems almost traumatized by now. Did Pennywise just attack? It is almost certain. In the next scene, the Losers Club starts to assemble in Derry again. Here we see Beverly, Ben, Bill, Richie, and Mike staring at something in terror. One does wonder, where are Eddie and Stanley? Still on their way, perhaps? At least in the next shot they are united, looking at the window and remembering their fight against Pennywise in part 1 of it. The next couple of shots are showing us the lucky 7. Wait a minute, 6? Are we still missing somebody here? Wouldn't it be odd for them to travel to the sewers without being fully assembled? Remember the 6 flies from the beginning? It appears to be an important number. And indeed, the next quick shots make you realize that Stanley appears to be missing. What happened here? The missing child posters on the buildings still give you a grim charm. Come to think of it, are these new posters? Doesn't the town look pretty abandoned to you as well? Meeting up with all of the old friends at a Chinese place. If you haven't read the book or seen the first movie, I won't spoil anything for you. But this restaurant is where the Lucky 7 unite, meet again after all these years and celebrate their reunion. Just for a little bit at least. After all of that, we see the deceased brother of Bill, Georgie, greeting us. And more importantly, his brother, still with a paper boat in his hand, which he got from Bill the day of his disappearance. Clearly, Bill's introduction scene to the town of Derry in chapter 2. Beverly and Bill share a pretty close moment together in the next scene, maybe even a bit of romance. Bill lets her know that they need to do this thing together if they want to succeed, and he's right. Mike leads Richie and Bill back into the sewers here, in which we still find all of the old remains of Pennywise's reign back in the day. A quick trip down memory lane once more, before Richie gets his own special moment on what appears to be Derry's Town Fest again. Like in the first movie. Look how all the people in the background are staring at him. This is clearly an event that Pennywise has conjured up. And there he is, floating into the scene with a bunch of red balloons, next to our beloved statue. Then Mike is having a little moment with Pennywise, holding a pop balloon in his hand, but many more seem to swarm around him. From the next shot it appears that he must have seen the clown once more in the burnt down factory when he was a child, but we have never gotten a glimpse of that before. Pennywise is taking off his makeup in the next scene, in which he clearly must have been disguised to trick one of the children. The adults realize in the next shot that Pennywise must have built himself quite a fortress down there. Look at that. Once again, only 6 flashlights. Ah, what a lovely little circus in the next shot. Pennywise must have upgraded this time to lure people in even more easy than in the past. Not a lot going on though, just a couple of people if you take a close look. Then it's some more romance time for Bill and Beth, which approves my theory that they must have kissed a bit earlier already. Ben, in the next scene, must be getting distracted while venturing down in the sewers with his friends. And we all see Eddie yelling at something. But what's that on his cheek? Is that makeup? Pennywise makeup? One might wonder. Bill then is running across the carnival in the next scene, maybe to rescue somebody? And what appears to be Beverly is ascending out of the still terrifying pool of blood. Certainly a hard battle that is going down here for our heroes. Next we have the whole group together, holding hands, reassuring themselves that they can do it once more. Get rid of Pennywise. Oh wait, it's 6 again. By the way, Eddie is wearing a bandage on his cheek, so no makeup. And then Pennywise, clapping, indicates that he's just about to devour this cute little girl in the next scene, floating towards the camera, greeting her with an uncomfortable hello. I bet this was the last we saw of the little girl, just reassuring us of the constant threat Pennywise poses to the town and all of its children. Thank you guys for watching. If you want more weekly Pennywise content, please make sure to subscribe to my channel.